What's up, people? I am back for another video. This was recommended to me. A friend of mine named Steve Kenobi. This is a movie I seen. I guess this would be like almost 4 years ago. Called Thrashin' with Josh Brolin. Came out in 1986, and it pretty much is just literally just a movie about skating. Josh Brolin plays Corey Webster, out of town kid, moves into town, and the big thing here is skating. And he's trying to compete in this downhill competition, and falls in love with this girl, but starts rivaling with her brother, who's the leader of this group called the Daggers, and very much that's the movie. Like, there's just stuff happens. It's one of those movies like there's a plot, but it's more about just let's show 80s LA, and like the skating culture at that time. That's really all this movie was. The soundtrack is so 80s too, and I love it. It's very much peak 80s. That is what I call this movie, or Uber 80s, whatever you want to call it. I actually think Josh Brolin's pretty good in it. It's I have fun with it. It's not like you can argue and say it's objectively not the greatest movie ever made, but it's a fun little flick. You can put it on if you want to just watch something, super 80s. You can kind of just put on in the background. I would say, and just even the soundtrack is really good. So, and honestly, there's some really nice shots, like when they're just walking around the city. It's pretty good, and I think Hook was a good antagonist of the film. I recognize him from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. He was the friend of Jesse in the movie. So, but yeah, that's pretty much really all this movie really is. It's not like there's not a lot to it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. So yeah, tomorrow I will be reviewing Hellraiser 4. That one I'm actually going in blind because I'd only watched the first 3 Hellraiser movies. So, and from a lot of what I've seen, it's in space, and that 4 is basically where it starts to go downhill. So I'm very much in. I mean, who knows? It could. I've not seen it, so for all I know, this movie could be fun in a maybe not objectively good, but it could be like just a fun little flick. We'll see. We'll watch it tomorrow. So. But other than that, Thrashin' is like, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I really think they really did a good job of showing the skate scene of that time, of the mid-80s. Like, just even the aesthetic of it. Like, they got everything right. Like, so overall, I definitely enjoy it. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's like top 5 Josh Brolin movies, but it's definitely a pretty fun little flick. So, but other than that, we'll get ready to kick it off here. Anyway, get going. So Corey arrives in town, and basically you just kind of get just a little quick look at the world, and I think they do a good job of like right away kind of setting the tone of what kind of movie you're expecting. Just especially when they go to like the Venice Beach area, and that's that skate scene at the time. I really think they captured it really well. But Corey Webster moves into town from out because he wants to compete in this downhill competition. And while there, and basically, like, kind of how I explained, like, the movie just kind of goes from, like, it's like, yeah, Corey falls in love with Chrissy. I think she did a pretty good job in the movie. Like, the acting's pretty good for, even though there's a lot of 80s cheese in it, I would actually say the acting's pretty good, if I'm being honest. But, it's that kind of story of the guy's in love with a girl, but her brother or somebody in her family doesn't want her to be with him. He initially, because Hook is like the main leader of the Daggers, this group of skaters, and they even infuse like a little bit of punk influence in there. But yeah, it basically threatens Corey to basically stay away from his sister. He refuses. They get in altercations throughout the film, like fights. They even have there's a fun little chase scene where the Daggers are chasing Corey through town, and Corey's like hitching a ride on the bus. Very reminiscent of Back to the Future. Fun little chase scene, to be honest. I think that's kind of what this movie is. It's not like some of the other movies I normally review, but so then there's that moment in the film where Corey gets injured because there's this he gets into a fight with Dagger because his half pipe gets burned down. So starts an even bigger conflict. Corey ends up getting in a fight with with Hook. And during that, he ends up getting injured, his hand is either his arm or his wrist broken. And because one of the Daggers pulled Chrissy aside because she was trying to help Corey, but she gets pulled aside by one of the Daggers. Corey kind of gets mad, or you're at that part of the film where you gotta have the main character get mad at his girlfriend. And I actually think Josh Brolin did a pretty good job portraying that kind of character for the time, and very much I love the aesthetic of this film. I like hair metal and I love metal, so for me works the whole skate and 80s aesthetic of it. So they get into a fight with him and Corey and Chrissy, and she leaves and he tries to. I even like the shot where she's driving off. It's actually well done shot, it's a front shot of the car and you can see Corey in the back, and then Corey tries to go back, but one of the Daggers, who's I think the female Daggers, lies to Corey and basically says Chrissy doesn't ever want to see him again, because Chrissy basically wants to go back to town and kind of wants to be done with it. Then we get ready for the competition. This movie goes pretty quick. Honestly, the pacing is pretty good. There's not a moment I feel bored. Oh, there's you have this, I guess you could say the sex scene, and you have the 80s music playing, the love music. It's they got everything in this movie that that kind of captures that. So when we get to the competition, Chrissy, has the second thoughts, goes back. Corey, with a broken wrist, has to basically do the race, carefully. But I actually enjoyed the race scene. Very well done, very shot well. It was fun. Hook ends up crashing, and a bunch of people crash, to be honest, which I thought that was the funny part. Just a bunch of dudes crashing. But Corey ends up winning. Celebration. He gets the girl. You get that moment of respect from Hook. And yeah, that's it. The movie it's a simple flick. And I kind of like movies like that sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I like complicated movies, or I like movies where a lot of stuff is happening. But sometimes movies like this are fine, where it's just a simple plot. It just gets going. There's not a lot to it. It's a skate film. There's a big competition. There's a bit of rivalry, and that's it. It's kind of simple. So overall, I really enjoy it. It's a fun little flick. Definitely, probably, if I'm in the mood, just want to put it on, just even for the music, just to hear the music in the background. And I thought Josh Brolin did a pretty good job. Robert Russler, I think is his name. It just hit me, the name of the guy who played Tommy Hook. I thought he did a pretty good job. Chrissy did decently. It's a fun little movie. It's simple. It's just, it captures that 80s skater scene very well, and that LA skater scene in general very well. So awesome flick. I'm happy to watch it again, to be honest. So 7 out of 10. Tomorrow, Hellraiser 4. I hope it's just fun and not like painful bad. We'll see. Because basically from here on out, Hellraiser is pretty much a shit show from what I hear. Like, just, it sucks because Pinhead is such a cool character, and it's like, after the 3 movies, it's like they didn't know what to do with him. Because from what I hear, a lot of the later ones are like scripts for like other movies that they just repurposed to become Hellraiser. I'm like, that's never a good sign when you do that. So, anyway, we'll see how it turns out. It's in space. I just hope it's better than Leprechaun in space. Maybe it could even be like a Jason X, not good, but I still love it. So it could. I'm just hoping it's that. Doug Bradley's in it, so who knows? Doug Bradley's performance could easily carry the whole movie. We'll see. But other than that, I'm gonna cheers, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.